Morning, guys. 10:18 on Thursday. Happy New Year. Didn't really see much from the minutes last night of the FOMC meeting. All pretty much as standard, and the markets responding in the way they should have responded and just carry on as usual, business as usual. A little bit of volatility, but nothing anticipated. And no indication of the February meeting hike, whether it's going to be 50, which is expected, um, or whether it's going to be 75 or 25. I think we were hoping for some sort of indication as to whether it was going to be 25, where we would have seen movement up, or 75, where we most likely would have seen movement down. But unfortunately, nothing. So business as usual. Touched on this yesterday, so I just wanted to take a look at the bigger picture. Okay, sometimes you can get lost in what's going on right in the moment without really seeing and identifying what might be about to happen or could happen. Okay, and it's all to do with, is the bottom in, is the bottom not in? And I think there's one key area, which is this yellow line. Okay, in and around this area. So this is the 25th of January, where I think we'll probably find out whether this is the bottom or not. So it just comes down to a couple of drawings. So we'll just bring in this long-term falling wedge first of all. Okay, so this is very simple. Let me go to the daily. We're on a 3-day. Let me just go to the daily, reset the charts. Just going to move this off the screen for now. Let me just position. Okay, so essentially this is where we're trading. We had this move up, and then we've been in this falling channel, if you like, for a continued period of time since the 15th of August. Okay, so quite major pattern. And we can see quite easily that we've hit the top, we've moved down, we traversed across to the top, hit the top of the pattern, rejected, we're traversing across now. Okay, we're moving across. This is why everyone's saying boring, dull, moving sideways. But actually, we're just moving across to the trend line, the top trend line again. Fortunately, because of the shape of the pattern, we're not moving up and moving down in steep angles. So you're not seeing those trading periods where you can really sort of make some decent profits, because essentially we're moving across, but we're moving across sideways. But we are moving up. If you just draw a trend line in, we can see that the price action is moving up, which is a positive. Now, decision time will be when Bitcoin, if it does reach this trend line, obviously no guarantees it's going to reach this trend line, but if it does reach this trend line, that is key decision time as to whether the bottom is in or not, in my opinion. So you can't really call at the moment. You can go by what's happened before, and you can do your own TA, but until Bitcoin reaches this upper trend line, we're still in this downtrend. Okay, so we're either gonna break down, okay, to the bottom of the pattern, or we're gonna break up and out of this particular pattern. My opinion is, at the moment, the way it stands, unless there's another FTX drama or scandal within the crypto space, is we'll probably just ease our way out of this pattern and then continue our journey moving sideways. Okay, and then I'm thinking the bottom is in, and then I'm thinking this is accumulation time. Okay, if we hit this trend line and get rejected, and we see volume coming in with regard from the bears or traders looking to short the market, then I would imagine we're looking to see the bottom of the pattern in and around, I would say, anywhere between 12 and 13,500. Okay, that's kind of what I'm looking at. I'm not drawing fibs in or anything like that. This is just an idea. Okay, so the technical side of this is probably missing, but this is just an idea that I'm looking at. So right now I'm waiting for Bitcoin to move across, touch this trend line, and then make a decision. And once it makes that decision, I'll know whether I'm looking to potentially short the market, okay, and trade down in this pattern, or whether I'm looking to start to average into positions, because I believe Bitcoin is going to continue trading sideways and then start to move upwards eventually. Now, just to back this up, okay, if we just switch this pattern off for now, where is it? This one here. And then we go to the 3-day again. I'm going to reset the chart. Okay, I'm just going to bring this back into play. Like so. So if I then bring up this pattern, let me just turn this off. Let's go to the weekly. Okay, if I bring in this pattern, you potentially have a very, very, very large cup and handle. Okay, you've got your handle this side. We would have the top here. Okay, your handle forming. We've had that attempt at the breakout, rejection, and then we're just following this curve all the way around. Okay, so the question is, this date on the 23rd of January, if we hit this trend line, okay, we've got this trend line here, and we see a breakdown, then the possibility is we're going to see that 11 to 13,500 area. Okay, and then all that's going to do is just extend the curve a bit more. If we see the break up out of this trend line, just bring it into play. 1 second, falling wedge. Okay, let me just bring this into play. I can delete this. Okay, if we see this breakout of this upper trend line, what I think is going to happen is we're just going to continue to move sideways. So I've roughly gauged where this cup is going to be, but this could be an extended period of time. Okay, so we could see this sort of effect. Okay, so what we're looking at is potentially breaking out of this upper trend line, which would suggest to me that the bottom is in, and then we're just going to be trading this trend line and the bottom for an extended period of time before we eventually start moving upwards. And this could be towards the end of next year. By the time we're sort of in this level, could be in and around August 23. Okay, so that's what I'm thinking at the moment. I'm thinking personally now, I think unless there's another big drama like FTX, personally, I think the bottom is in. There may be another leg down. Even so, I still think pattern formation wise, all we're going to be doing, like I say, is just extending this curve a little bit. Okay. And then essentially it's the same process. We're still trading the bottom of this curve, and then we're going to start to move up eventually, and then start making progress towards the end of next year. I think, and I've said it many times, I just think we're going to have a period of sideways trading whilst we're deciding whether we're in a recession or not in a recession, and everything's going on with China and Russia, Ukraine, and the global market's not doing particularly well. I think it's a period for pausing, moving sideways, waiting for it all to blow over. No one wants to be in high risk assets, but people do want to be averaging into high risk assets at these prices. Yes, people are waiting for another leg down, but really, if we do fall down to 12, 13,000, apart from the effect that it might have on the crypto market in bankruptcies from other exchanges, I think it's just going to be another leg down and a part of this pattern, this curve pattern. So whether we break out here and continue to move sideways, or whether we break down and then continue to move sideways, yes, okay, there's a big difference between 16,000 and potentially 11.5, 12,000, but equally, I still think that's the bottom. We're just going to continue to move sideways before we start to move upwards again. And I would expect, like I say, sideways continuation for some time, and then maybe summer, autumn of next year, we really start to see some progress and we start to see some bigger movements upwards. Whereas for now, I think just sideways trade, a little move up, sideways trade, a little move up, sideways trade, a little move up, and we're just following this curve. But we don't have the exact of this curve at the moment. So from a trading point of view right now, and I explain this in group time and time again, it's just about being patient, waiting for Bitcoin to give you a signal of what it's intending to do, and then trading accordingly. Okay, so right now, very, very simple charting. This is the pattern we're in. We're waiting to see what happens when and if Bitcoin hits this upper trend line. And this isn't, we're not looking at the SMAs and the clouds and ribbons and fibs and everything else. Just straightforward. Bitcoin's got to reach at some stage this upper trend line. Okay. Then it's a case of what happens next. Do we break out or do we break down? If we do get some FUD come in and it's similar to FTX, although I don't think you'll ever get anything similar to FTX again, but we get some major FUD coming in, then we may see that move down beforehand. But unless that happens, my expectation is we will continue to move sideways across to this upper trend line, and then it's decision time. Do we take another leg down, or do we break out? And if we break out, we're looking at volume coming in, and we're then potentially looking at moving sideways for an extended period of time before eventually starting to move upwards. With current economic climate and Fed meetings and everything going on, I don't think traders are going to be buying high risk assets in volume, which would suggest that we continue to move sideways. And then once we see interest rates under control and economy economy back on track, then you'll see money flow into high risk assets, and potentially, summer next year would be when we may well see the start of a stronger movement upwards. Okay. So I'm going to leave it there. Obviously this isn't full on TA. This is just an idea and something personally I'm watching. I just wanted to make everyone in group aware. And we're just waiting for the next step. But it's very difficult to trade at the moment. You can do this scalping, but it's difficult to trade. But if you've got an eye on the end game of this particular setup, so we're looking towards between the 20th and 30th of January of Bitcoin potentially reaching this trend line, you're prepared and you can put your strategy in place for what happens next. Do we see a rejection or do we see that breakout? Okay. But longer term, I think we're just going to continue sideways, and potentially there's a very, very large cup and handle in play, which is going to take, another year and a half potentially to play out and reach the top of the pattern again. Okay, so you just got to be patient and just make trading decisions that you're confident with, and also make sure that your long-term strategy, if this is the case, okay, and whether we're at the bottom now or whether we take another leg down, either way, even if you start averaging in here, you're still in a very, very good position. You buy down here, the same, yes, you're going to buy a lot more for your money, particularly on altcoins, okay? But essentially, the pattern is still the same. You're going to continue to move sideways. So you average in here, and then you're looking to make your profit on the move up to the top of the pattern. And then when we reach the top, we're obviously looking for that breakout, retest, continuation higher. Should we be able to do that? Long way off, but let's see. Okay, shout if you've got any questions. I'm going to leave it there, and I will do another video tomorrow, and we'll probably go. I want to have a look at Bitcoin dominance. Okay, Bitcoin dominance has been dropping recently, so you can see that altcoins have been moving a little bit better, and also we need to be updating the ES1, the SPX, the Nasdaq, and see where they're heading in the next 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. And then we got DXY. So loads to go through, but I just wanted to get that idea to you of long-term strategy, where I think Bitcoin is heading, and what my expectation is towards the end of this month, decision time. And we're just looking for a breakout with sufficient volume, but then a continuation sideways. We'll look for a leg down and then continuation sideways before we move back up. Okay. I hope that helps everyone, and I will catch up with you soon. Cheers.